Hey folks, this is Vint with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and once again, we're going to play Star Trek Judgment Rites. Today we'll be tackling Mission 4, possibly Mission 5. We'll see how my health holds up. The way the game works is you really can't save it at the very beginning of a mission. You have to let the dialogue go for a little bit, and then you can save it. So if you want to see Mission 4's opening dialogue, then check out my previous video that I posted. But today we're just going to go Mission 4. And we are going to skip the intro because I actually got flagged on YouTube because of the MIDI Star Trek introduction. Yeah, somehow it mistook MIDI Star Trek music for an actual Star Trek theme. But okay. YouTube is YouTube. Alright, so we're going to skip that.
Load a previously saved game.
I advise referring to the star map and setting a course for the Onius system, Captain.
Yeah, okay, so that means we actually have to look at a guide because I don't have an in-game map to tell me which is which. Alright, so I think it's number 11 there. Let's hope that's right. If you go to the wrong system, you get attacked by random
Approaching
enemies.
Onius 2, Captain.
It may be nothing, Captain, but a scan of the planet's atmosphere indicates a high concentration of rare gases trapped in the planet's magnetosphere. Atmospheric disturbances could produce random radio waves.
It wouldn't be the first time, Mr. Spock, but we'll never be able to tell if we don't check it out. After all, to seek out new life and new civilizations is our mission, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
A split infinitive, Captain.
What?
The proper grammatical expression is to go boldly where no man has gone before.
Somehow, I think it loses a little in the translation.
Entering standard orbit.
Fascinating, Captain. Sensors indicate only 2 faint life forms. It is difficult to distinguish, given the discharges in the planet's magnetosphere. It is, however, safe to transport to the planet's surface.
No signal from the planet other than the distress beacon, sir. Captain, our sensors will not be particularly useful to you while you're down there, and communications may be erratic, sir.
We'll be fine, Lieutenant. What reason is there to worry?
I'm afraid, Captain, there are plenty of precedents. We'll be here if you need us.
I have no doubt of that.
I have tracked the signal to its source. It is near the life forms. The rest of the planet is quite desolate. No sign of life or technology. The atmosphere is thin, but breathable, and I detect numerous micrometeorite hits.
There are 3 unformed planets in this system. It's no wonder. There are so many micrometeorites. I'm surprised any Class M planet hasn't been pulverized by now.
It is not inconceivable, but it is certainly unusual.
Let's do it, Spock. You, McCoy, and I. Oh, and tell Bones to see if a genetic specialist's available. If there are only 2 life forms, we might be privileged to see life at its earliest stages.
Wow, no red shirt. I'm shocked.
Seems to me as if we've landed on a skeleton after the vultures have picked it clean.
A fascinating analogy, Doctor. Captain, the locus of the distress signal is in that building.
I think the doctor is right. Anything good here died a long time ago. It feels creepy to me.
Thank you for that opinion, Mr. Johns. I'll be certain to use creepy in my log entry about this.
As improbable as it might seem, I am getting multiple life form readings from inside this building.
Well, I have to hand it to whoever built this place. All this equipment looks brand new and in good repair.
Let's hope the Enterprise looks this good when it's this old.
We should be very careful about how we proceed, Captain. I have a strange feeling that evil is lurking nearby.
Evil, Ensign?
Something that wants to imperil our souls, sir. We must avoid that at all costs.
Captain, Ensign would be the ideal person to operate this device. This device is curiously similar to the DNA replicators back on the Enterprise.
Captain, we have to run a set of source samples through the sequencer before I can make a composite sample with the replicator. Wow, this is almost identical to an 8000 sequencer. Cutting-edge Federation technology. Just input a sample, and the sequencer analyzes it so it can be spliced or altered on the genetic level with the replicator.
No effect.
Readings indicate that along with oxidation and dust, there is some organic residue in the crust-like buildup.
I welcome you, otherworlders. I beseech you, save us from that which seeks our destruction.
How fitting for a devil to appear on a world that looks like hell.
Enough of that, Mr. Johns. This is just another xenobiological entity.
Correction, Doctor. This is a projection of a xenobiological entity.
Jim, the only life form readings are within that machine behind the portal. Single-cell organisms with an extremely high reproductive rate, but a very poor metabolism and an extremely short lifespan.
Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you?
I am Visner of the Alphan people. Our race possessed this world and thrived here until the invasion by the forces of light. We are locked in a death struggle with them, for they desire our destruction. Do you aid them?
No, we do not aid them. Wars and destruction are not things we value, Visner. Our prime directive prevents us from interfering in internal struggles. But at the request of all parties, we might negotiate a compromise.
Forgive me, but I find that claim insupportable.
Wars and destruction are...
You open yourself to confusion in speaking with Azra, but it is understandable that you want to hear his side before acting. My assessment of you suggests that most of you will fight the clouding of logic and will see through Azra's deception. Please report to me your success.
I am reactivating Visner, Captain.
Greetings, gentle beings, and welcome. I am Azra of the Omegan people. You are the salvation we have long sought. Thank you for answering our summons.
An angel!
Actually, it is the projected image of an angel, Mr. Johns.
Jim, somewhere in that machine behind the portal are single-cell organisms. They have a healthy metabolism and a long lifespan, but an extremely low rate of reproduction.
So where's the emergency? Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you?
I am Azra of the Omegan people, an ancient and venerable race which labors to prevent the domination of this world by the forces of darkness. We require you to expunge this place of our mortal enemies.
Captain, the most worthwhile purpose in life is to fight against the forces of darkness. We must help him.
Enemies? This world is so barren that all the life on it is located right here. If you have mortal enemies, we've not seen them. Who are you talking about? Our prime directive prohibits us from taking part in wars on one side or the other. It would be seen as intervention. We are willing to negotiate a compromise. You will forgive me if I don't fall for a pretty face. I'm not about to expunge anyone. Enemies? This world is so barren that all the life on it is located right here. If you have mortal enemies, we've not seen them. Who are you talking about?
I speak of the Alphans, of course. They are foul, cold creatures who pervert even the most sacred ideas. They cling to the heretical belief that life began within darkness. Of course, we recognize light as the life bringer. All things began in a brilliant, life-giving burst of light.
A burst of light? That's a common motif in creation stories.
Or in accordance with the Big Bang theory of the universe's creation.
You must expunge the world of the Alphans. This is why I called you here. I know you can accomplish what you need to do with the equipment that is present. Be warned, Visner can be very persuasive. I await your report of success.
There's no need to leave. We've already talked with Visner. I have to say that I find many of your claims insupportable.
Insupportable? How can you defend a race whose very existence is based upon deceit and foul lies?
Foul lies? Their position contradicts yours, but there are similarities. You dwell on your differences so much, you just can't see them. Frankly, Azra, Visner is quite rational and makes your impassioned pleas for genocide sound psychotic. For a being of goodness, you're rather bloodthirsty. Foul lies? Their position contradicts yours, but there are similarities.
Captain, they're as different as angels and demons.
Similarities? They are beings of shadow. They mock our perfection. They are our antithesis, created after we were to destroy us and our potential for good.
You repeatedly proclaim yourself good and suggest you are morally superior to the Alphans. Why don't you act like it? If you're so perfect, how come you need our help? You said they were created after you were. How do you know that?
We know we came first because that is what our sacred scriptures tell us. In the light we were born and commanded to shun that which dwells in darkness. This clearly tells us that we came first. Surely you can see that. Or is it that you have some other interpretation of the event that birthed the Omegans?
Does your sacred scriptures explicitly say that no beings were created before you?
Dare you suggest they came first?
Let's see what we've got. 2 single-celled organisms, each incapable of survival on their own. One lives in light, the other lives in darkness. Each must live a limited and unstable life without the other.
Captain, do you know what you're doing?
Allow us to unite you again. Your combined strengths will make you a viable entity again.
The persuasiveness of your arguments has opened for me a door through which I spy a future and a truth that I have long denied. You are correct. Perhaps being only half of a whole, I could not see the solution. Yes, I desire your help for my people. Help us.
The sample dish feels warm to the touch.
Was it not as I said it would be? Are not the Omegans a fanatical race, uninterested in anything but fulfilling some self-contradictory messianic destiny for themselves? I assume they filled your heads with their warped theology.
Frankly, Visner, Azra is certainly committed to his cause, but hardly the blood-mad fanatic you describe him to be. Warped theology. It is true they differ greatly from you, but your worldviews are based on common beliefs. You see things from different perspectives, that's all.
Are you utterly ungrounded in logic? They are creatures of superstition. They invaded our world, then sought to drive us from it. How can you suggest we are anything alike?
You question my grounding in logic, but you don't apply logic to an examination of Alphan beliefs. Aren't they concerned with the same things you are? You're supposed to be the reasonable one. Your facts can't be very persuasive if you aren't willing to try and find common ground. You said they usurped your place in the world, which suggests prior ownership by you. You question my grounding in logic, but you don't apply logic to an examination of Alphan beliefs. Aren't they concerned with the same things you are?
How can their concerns match ours when they reach conclusions based on superstition and a document which is largely allegorical in content?
Logic, when applied to your arguments and theirs, suggests that you have had the same experience. The two of you are united in a common drive to attain an end. Your mutual distrust reflects a fear of facing your destiny. Realizing your full potential will not be without risk, of course, but it is possible. Meet us, meet the Omegans halfway, and we will help you fulfill your destiny.
Not a bad psychoanalysis, Jim. Freud would be proud.
Captain, you may be ignoring the obvious.
Your position is unassailable and points out the one and only purpose for our races. Thank you, Captain Kirk, for making me see that. Yes, I desire your help for my people. Help us.
You take the alpha sample, which feels cold to the touch.
A unique use of a phaser, but adequate for removing the deposits from the apparatus.
This sample sequence is like a dream. I don't know why, but I could not get a good sampling.
Ensign, let Dr. McCoy try that troublesome sequence.
I can do the job, sir, if I can have some peace and quiet here.
Mr. Johns, I think I'm getting a clear picture here of your difficulties. Do you realize that insubordination is an offense punishable by a court-martial? It looks to me that you're deliberately trying to mislead us. That's not a good career move. Calm down, Ensign. No one is criticizing you. I just need answers.
I appreciate the offer, Captain, but I know what's right and wrong here, so I don't need your help.
Ensign, I appreciate your situation, but this is not the time for philosophy. You have a job to do. Ensign, you are here as a genetic engineer, not as a philosopher. I expect my orders to be obeyed, and if you have a problem with them, I don't expect to be deliberately misled. I could really use a Tellarite security officer right now. Ensign, you are here as a genetic engineer, not as a philosopher.
I regret my attempt to mislead you. I will accept whatever punishment you feel is necessary.
What is it you think I'm asking you to do, Ensign?
You don't understand, Captain. Look at the Alphans and look at the Omegans. There's so much evil in the universe. You're asking me to destroy a race of good and beauty by mixing their genetics with something ugly, something evil. I can't do it.
Ensign, I think you're confusing things. The Alphans and Omegans are single-celled creatures. While the projections may have seemed sophisticated and human, they are constructs. You can look at the sequence and tell what you have there for DNA could never produce such a creature, can't you? I am asking you to do nothing of the kind, Ensign. You believe in the struggle of good against evil, and I respect that. But the application of your philosophical perspective is misplaced here. The Alphans and Omegans are single-celled creatures. They are no more capable of good or evil than a tribble. Can't you see that?
Single cells. You're right. I've been a real idiot. I suppose I should take a refresher course in Aesop.
It wouldn't hurt. Some of the wisest people in history have written for children.
Never judge an input card by its label. I guess that was the trap I fell into and kept me from doing my job and made me deceive my captain.
If it's any consolation, you're not very good at deception, Ensign.
Thank you, sir. I hope you'll give me a chance to correct my mistakes. Do you think we're really meant to combine the two races?
You've programmed the sequences. You can tell whether they're compatible.
Sir, the sequencer indicates that they need to be combined for their continual survival. But how did you know?
I listened to Dr. McCoy. It seemed the logical conclusion, given the evidence.
Thank you, Captain.
The alpha sample is sequenced, sir. This sample sequence is like a dream. Captain, we have to run a set of source samples through the sequencer before I can make a composite sample with the replicator. The two samples have joined together as easily as if they had once been a whole and had been separated before.
Any race that had this technology 50,000 years ago could possibly have been able to perform such a dissection and kept both halves alive.
Captain, with the samples sequenced together, I'm ready to use the replicator to produce a sample with the combined genetic data. I am producing a new culture, Captain. Captain, the genetic sequence is still stored in the computer. If we need another sample, the replicator can generate it. I officially christen this life form the Gammons.
Well, Jim, it doesn't look like it does anything. Oh, I guess I spoke too soon. It took it in. It looks as if the colony is getting a foothold in there.
Life energy levels are spiking. They're building to a level sufficient for sending out a signal 100 times stronger than the one that brought us here, Captain.
The Gammon sample appears to be thriving in this environment.
Thank you for your hard work. You have fulfilled the design for which we were created. I am authorized to tell you. Thank you for your hard work. You have fulfilled the design for which we were created.
It would appear there is more to this message than we are receiving.
Kirk to Uhura, are you receiving any strange subspace or radio signals?
Captain, there is a neutrino-based transmission being broadcast near your current position from a point of unknown origin, probably from another star system. Our equipment is not designed to handle it, though given 1 or 2 weeks, we might be able to identify patterns and extrapolate what it's trying to say.
We'll work on the problem from here. Kirk out.
An antenna. I wonder what it was meant for.
That's what we're here to find out, Mr. Johns.
The array dish appears to have escaped much of the damage visited upon the rocks. Captain, until power has been returned to these controls, there is nothing I can do. These rocks are approximately 1.3 billion years old and are volcanic in origin. The array dish is quite sturdy and doubtless still functional. Captain, until power has been returned to these controls, there is nothing I can do. This rock is a secondary formation produced by the interaction of plates, earthquakes, and volcanism. The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage. This array appears focused on a point approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. This appears to be similar to Federation technology, Captain. Its control principles are similar to the Medaille sensor dish on Vulcan. It has locked the array at a 35-degree angle. Without knowledge of the code control sequence, I cannot adjust it. The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage. The support beneath the base is weak and crumbled. It is aligned to a point approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. Captain, The controls indicate the device is aligned at an angle approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. There appears to be some sort of anomaly in the control program that has misaligned the controls, but my tricorder is unable to determine it. Without a method of determining the proper angle, I am afraid I cannot realign the dish. The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage. The focal point of the dish is aligned approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. This appears to be similar to Federation technology, Captain. Its control principles are similar to the Medaille sensor dish on Vulcan. It has locked the array at a 35-degree angle. Without knowledge of the code control sequence, I cannot adjust it. I also detect that its power core is not functioning. It operates on geothermal energy, tapping into heat from the ground below. Captain, although this rock formation does indirectly lead to the thermal core, I suggest finding an area that would allow a more direct transfer of energy. These rocks are approximately 1.3 billion years old and are volcanic in origin. These rocks are approximately 1.3 billion years old. These rocks are approximately... This rock is a secondary formation produced by the interaction of plates, earthquakes, and volcanism. This rock is a secondary formation. Captain, I do not believe that will help our mission. Captain, although this rock formation does indirectly lead to the thermal core, I suggest finding an area that would allow a more direct transfer of energy. The energy level is insufficient, Captain. We cannot generate the energy level needed to provide geothermal energy with hand phasers.
If it's thermal energy you want, Jim, I remember this planet that used a starship's phasers on a microwave setting to heat the surrounding rock to provide temporary power.
An interesting observation, Doctor. We could use the same technique here, but the beam would have to be extremely precise. If we targeted the wrong section, we could melt the rock and destroy the array. Captain, although this rock formation does indirectly lead to the thermal... These rocks are approximately 1.3 billion years old, and... These rocks are approximately... These rocks are approximately... rocks are These rocks are These rocks are This rock is a secondary formation produced by the interaction of plates. This rock is a Nothing unusual about that object, Captain. This rock is a secondary formation produced by the interaction of plates, earthquakes, and volcanism. This rock is a secondary formation produced by the interaction of plates, earthquakes, and volcanism.
Save new game.
Mr. Scott requests to know if everything is all right, sir.
Tell Mr. Scott that everything is fine. Kirk out.
These rocks are approximate. These rocks are These rocks are approximately 1.3. These rocks are Captain, although this rock formation does indirectly lead to the thermal core, I suggest finding an area that would allow a more direct transfer of energy.
Mr. Scott requests to know.
Tell Mr. Scott that everything is fine. Kirk out.
Captain, although this rock formation does indirectly lead...
Okay.
These rocks are approximate... These rocks are approximate... These rocks are approximately 1.3 billion years old. Captain, we are too far from the thermal core to sufficiently heat it. These rocks are approximately... Nothing unusual. This rock is a secondary formation produced... This rock is a... This rock is a... This rock is...
It's gotta be around here.
This appears to be the most accessible spot to heat the rocks below the ground.
Are you kidding me?
And generate geothermal energy for the array.
Kirk to Enterprise. Sulu, can you read me?
Sulu here, Captain. How can I help you?
The Enterprise should broadcast a low-level microwave beam at the coordinates I am sending.
We have them, Mr. Spock. Get ready. Stand away from the blast area.
Stand by, ready for weapons position.
Sending microwaves now.
Temperature near the power coupling is rising rapidly. I estimate a below-ground temperature of 345 degrees Kelvin is required to reactivate the array. It is at 320, 330, 335, 340, 345, 350.
Shut off the beam, Mr. Sulu.
Affirmative, Captain.
The array is now drawing power. We were successful. Captain, these controls do not seem to be functioning properly. The array is a precision instrument that shows a high degree of machining.
Scotty, I need a calculation from the main computer.
While I know the computers on the Enterprise aren't quite as good as her engines, I think she'll manage.
I am sending the problem.
Ugh, that was too easy, Mr. Spock. The angle is 32.5 degrees.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
So is there anything else you need, Captain?
Not now, Scotty. Kirk out.
I am now attempting to realign the device to 32.5 degrees. It should now be correctly aligned.
Thank you, Captain, for your aid in constituting my people and in the unexpected necessary realignment of our communications array. You have performed admirably. Of the 16 stations reporting at this point, there have been 50% fatalities, 30% other failures, and only 20% successes. One group got points for style.
Points for style? Is this some sort of game? Not another alien race with a superiority complex. Who are you this time? Your appreciation is welcome, but many questions remain unanswered. Who are you?
I am Sisissa, a projection of a synthesis of Ozra and Visner. Clearly you know that the primitive life forms you have been dealing with are incapable of creating that in which you now stand. You will also note that the more demonic of the creatures displayed a passivity you did not expect, while the morally pure creature was aggressive and bloodthirsty.
The contradictions were noted and duly dealt with. I take it you were testing us on our ability to deal with disparate and contradictory inputs.
Yes, your reasoning ability was being tested, as well as your ability to adapt to new ideas when they conflict with deeply held beliefs and cultural customs. You passed quite admirably. The Brassica were impressed.
I'm not clear on who the Brassica are.
Captain, from this site, I can deduce various things about the Brassica. They are taller and more slender than we are. They are possessed of 3 fingers and a thumb on each hand. I suppose bilateral symmetry, and I know they possess greater visual acuity than humans. They visited this place well before humans had left the Cro-Magnon stage of development. And I note they have avoided detection by us, and presumably every other race in the universe, before they decided to send out signals to bring us to their bases.
Thank you, Mr. Spock.
And more you shall know as you continue on the quest. I wish you luck.
Kirk to Enterprise, Scotty, 4 to beam up.
Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end.
In this case, Bones, a new beginning. We were the midwives for the rebirth of a life form. 2 halves that have been made whole again. That's the way it was meant to be.
And let us hope that this is the end of Ensign John's prejudices.
We can all learn to stop judging people by appearances. Ensign Johns might have done well to remember the biblical representation of Lucifer, appearing in the guise of an angel of light.
You can never trust anybody. And people who look like pointy-eared hobgoblins are definitely at the bottom of the list.
It appears that Dr. McCoy did not learn the lesson of this mission either. Unfortunate, but not unexpected.
Fortunately, the Alphans and the Omegans learned philosophy and personal belief are not as easily divorced from logic as some would believe. We humans attain our greatest fulfillment when both of them are united.
Really, Captain?
Really. But I've had enough philosophy for one day. I'd rather worry about these Brassica and their cosmic quest.
Well, with me aboard, we're sure to get points for style.
Many questions remain unanswered, Captain.
And there's only one way to answer them.
Captain, message from Starfleet.
Bring it up, Lieutenant.
I reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. The top brass at Starfleet are impressed with the results of your recent performance. Outstanding work, Jim. Keep up the good work. Kane out.
Ahead, Mr. Sulu. Warp factor 5.
Leaving orbit. Increasing to warp factor 5.
Spock, where do you think we should start looking for this? Brassica?
Logic suggests that they will present us with opportunities to come to them.
Captain, a message from Starfleet.
On screen.
Captain, the USS Regulus has been forced to cancel its survey mission to the Antares Rift. We've decided to redirect the Enterprise to that mission. The USS Hood will take over for your current assignment.
Of course, the Antares Rift has a rather dangerous reputation.
Nothing the Enterprise can't handle. But be careful. Starfleet out.
Save new game.
Alright folks, I am going to take a break. Maybe I'll stream this later, who knows. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to me on Twitch and YouTube. That way you can stay up to date with any new content I happen to publish. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Take care.